Hi, I'm Sabine, the Purpose Lawyer. Thank you for listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast. It really goes a long way. It helps us spread the good word. And if you or anybody you know is in the market for legacy or estate planning or business or trademarks, please reach out to our firm. It's the Ambitious Legacy Firm. We are licensed in New York and New Jersey, but we have service partners in all states. So we'd love to work with you. Asset protection, legacy planning, trademarks. We got you. All right. So it's the ambitiouslegacyfirm.com. Now let's get into the episode. Welcome to another episode of the Ambitious Legacy Podcast. I'm your host, Sabine, the Purpose Lawyer. Thank you for listening and thank you for helping me be on purpose. So today, guys, I wanted to share that I had a feature. In essence, I was interviewed by a reporter. And the topic that I talked about was estate planning during a recession, because apparently, this is something that's going around and everybody kind of wants to know what to do. And basically, everyone's sort of up in arms in a sense about this recession talk. Everywhere you turn, it's like, is it going to be a recession, or we're already in a recession, or, what should we expect? And so what I found is that people tend to want to just stop everything. They want to just stop investing, stop doing anything that they were doing, hiding their money in mattresses, when you really don't want to do that. Historically, we've seen that, it's an opportunity when there's a recession. It's an opportunity to build wealth. It's an opportunity to invest. It's an opportunity to grow. And there's no reason why you shouldn't be doing it yourself, right? You should be part of this and, not being scared and sort of like hiding. So it's also a good time to put your estate plan in place, right? Because you have some time when things are sort of like settled. There's no pressure about really making any moves, but it's a good time to really evaluate and make sure that you're, protecting and preserving your wealth, right? Your wealth. First, obviously, you want to make sure that you can eat, you can pay your bills, your family's taken care of. But we also want to make sure that you're doing what you need to do to sort of make sure that this lasts. And I don't want you to have a scarcity mindset, because I know it's easy to just be like, let me scrounge every single penny and really like be in fear. Don't be in fear, because that brings decrease, right? So you want to think positively, but you also just want to plan smartly, right? So some of the statistics that we sort of talked about in the article was that 70% of Americans are really concerned about this market downturn. So I assure you it's not the 1% because they know that they need to take advantage of this, but it's the rest of us, right, who are just concerned about what's going on. And so that's why we want to get some tips and some tools to really start making sure that we're in the game right now. And definitely, we know where there is a disadvantage in the economy, that Black folks are going to be disproportionately affected by that, right? There is $68 trillion that can be potentially passed on. And with baby boomers, I think it's 10,000 every year are going into retirement. And, obviously, that's going to mean a lot of people are passing away on the tail end of that. And wealth is being transferred. So we need to be in position to really do that. You want to be part of that number, right? So 3 things that we kind of talked about that were some tips to sort of help people prepare for the recession. So one is that planning is important. I know, surprise, surprise. I'm telling you that planning is important. But the thing is that most of the people I come across with, despite of all the things that I say, most of the people are like, do I have enough to plan? I was at InvestFest recently and spoke to so many people. And one person, she was just almost so scared. And just the question she was asking, saying well, do I have enough? I'm like, if you have something of value, if you have a property, if you have retirement, if you have accounts, if you have these things, I'm pretty sure you would have appreciated receiving that from someone as an inheritance, right? Because it gives you a leg up, it gives you opportunity, right? And it also helps families not have to deal with the burden of funeral expenses, taxes, if that exists, supplementing income that's been lost. When somebody passes away, typically, most people, especially in families of color, they're working. So if someone passes away, then you've lost an income. And so there's things that could be put in place, such as life insurance, that could be there to sort of supplement that and take care of that, And, without a plan, that may not go exactly how you want. So, number one is planning is important. Think about putting a plan in place, even in a recession, even if you only have a little bit of assets. You don't have to get the Rolls Royce of plans. You could definitely start with your Kia or your Honda Accord. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay. Number two, we talked about assess your assets in a recession. It's a great time to really look at what you have and what you're invested in, right? Because recessions do affect your portfolio. And you want to kind of look at what is it that I could do to really safeguard what I have. So I've been hearing a lot about I bonds, and I bonds are US Treasury bonds, right? And they tend to have a really high rate relative when there's economic downturn. So like right now they're at 9.62%, and that's a guaranteed rate. So tell me in the last 6 months anybody who's gotten 9.62% on anything, right? So that's a really good thing. So that's an example of something that you could sort of research and say, oh, so this isn't something that I could take advantage of. If I have money, I'm not going to bury it under the mattress or whatever in the backyard, but I'm going to look for a vehicle that I could get some interest so I can build some additional income, guess income, right? Um, during the time that I'm sitting in this recession, right? So you're not just letting your money sit there, because with inflation, when your cash sits in the bank, it actually becomes less valuable, right? They don't teach us that. So, but I'm telling you, right, that this is something that you want to think about in terms of looking for other alternatives. Make sure you understand what you're invested in. Make sure you understand what your 401k is invested in. Is it the best possible investment for you? Is it costing you more than it's making you? You really get to decide, because like even if you have like a 401k account, for instance, that's not invested in anything lucrative and you cannot really have the freedom to decide, you could open an IRA and roll it over and maybe have a little bit more freedom with what you're investing in. You may not want to move your assets during the recession, but you can plan. You could come up with a strategy of what you're going to do when it makes sense to do it, right? That was two. You're going to assess your assets and you're going to see what it is. You're going to make sure you're educated and find other avenues to make money during that time so that you're not just sitting there losing value, right? And then the third thing is evaluate your spending. This one was really interesting because recently, my husband and I, we sort of went through our finances to look at what we're spending money on, right? Because we wanted to make some moves and we're like, let's see what we're spending money on. So we discovered that we each were spending on a regular month, no special occasions, no nothing, just living life. We each spend $2,000 on meals, on eating out. And we were just like, that's like a lot of money, right? Like that could have gone towards investment or that could have gone towards savings. And with that, we decided like, okay, well, we'll make better decisions now because we see the behaviors that we're doing. And if we want to have an expensive meal, we can, but not for no reason to just, sort of like waste when we don't really need to. And so that was a way that we sort of tackled that. And there are sort of different platforms that you could use to help you monitor what you're doing. So I know Mint is one of them, MINT. And there are tons of others. I know that banks typically have them now. You could sign up with your bank and they'll show you like a pie chart of what you're spending your money on. But like get intimate with your finances, right? And figure out what you're doing so that you can, really get a hold of really just meeting your goals. Like whatever your goals are, you're putting yourself in position to really meet them. And I also quoted Tiffany Aliche, who is super funny and super knowledgeable about financial literacy, and she's also an amazing human being because I met her. But she says that you want to drop down and get your noodle on, right? In a recession. So you want to make sure that you have your ramen noodle budget that you can shift gears to when the economy is tightened and, funds are constrained, lending is constrained. You can, just live a little bit more conservatively. But remember, we said without having that scarcity, fearful mindset, but just being smarter about what you're doing. So I hope this was helpful to you. Definitely go check out the Essence article. But these type of strategies and these types of conversations are things that we do all the time at my firm, the Ambitious Legacy Firm. We help clients kind of figure out how to meet their goals, how to put a plan in place, etc. So if you need help and you want to actually start to look at some of these things, please feel free to reach out to us. We're at the Ambitious Legacy Firm. You can go to our website. I'll put the information in the show notes so you can also find it there. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.